Welcome to Healthy Helpings. I'm Katie Farman with Edible Orlando magazine. You can find us online at edibleorlando.com as well as on Facebook and Instagram. And together with our partner in wellness, AdventHealth, we're here at the beautiful Lake Meadow Naturals in Ocoee. We've got chickens, we've got cows, we've got llamas, and together with a chef and a doctor, we're going to be showing you a beautiful, healthy, easy to make dish. So we've got Chef Kevin Fonzo from the Edible Education Experience, as well as Dr. Indrani Acosta, who will be talking about brain health and how to keep yourself healthy with what you make in the kitchen. So let's go join them and see what's cooking.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Indrani Acosta and I'm a stroke neurologist with AdventHealth Orlando. Today we're in this beautiful farm and I'll introduce you to Chef Kevin Fonzo, where he's going to prepare for us a beautiful and delicious and nutritious dish for our brain. I must say and remind everyone that we are not wearing our mask today because we are following CDC guidelines and we're staying 6 feet apart, so we're taking a bit of a rest from our masks.
And also we're outside today.
Yes,
How
beautiful.
fortunate are we? The beautiful weather, the wind's coming through, so I'm so happy to be outside without the mask on. It's fantastic. So when we talk, you can actually see our faces, our mouths. So thank you for having me, by the way. So today we're going to do a fantastic, beautiful, delicious roasted beet salad with almonds and citrus with some greens and a beautiful vinaigrette. Are you the fan of the beets?
That sounds amazing, yes. I am a fan of beets,
Okay.
yes. I don't cook them myself. I've actually never cooked them myself because I'm kind of scared of them. So I'm looking forward to see how do you prepare them.
Beautiful. So many people are intimidated by the beets. How do I cook these? They're big, they're hard. I have no idea. So if you're intimidated by the beet, check out your local stores. Sometimes you can buy pre-roasted beets. A little cheating, but don't be intimidated. Just take your beets home with you, wash them off really good. Toss them on a sheet pan, a 350-degree oven for about a good hour, depending upon the size. But just take a knife, and once the knife goes in and out smoothly, they're done. That is it. Then let them cool off a little bit. Now you notice there's a yellow beet here. I also have a red beet. So beets have two primarily colors. They're both taste beautiful. They're both nutritious. The yellow ones are a little softer on the palate. The red ones have more of a really super earthy, inky, if you will, taste. So some people don't like these, but combined they make for a beautiful, beautiful salad. Now, doctor, so when we have the beet, all you have to do is there's a skin on the outside you want to take off from the beet. So what I've done is cut the top and bottom off the beet. I'm going to lay it flat. That's not wobble around. Okay. I'm going to take my knife. I'm going to use my fingers as a guard. As opposed to doing this, because there goes the fingertip, then I call you saying, hey, I'm injured. So you take your knife and just come down around the sides. You can do that, or it also peels right off, doctor. So basically our beets are cut now. All right, now a great complement to beets is citrus. In this case, since we're in Florida, I opted for the Florida orange. All right.
Very nice,
So
Kevin.
people are like, how do I make an orange into the salad? All right, so let me show you guys really quick. Now, if you don't like the orange, you can use grapefruit or lemons for that matter. Vitamin C is fantastic.
Yes, that's
Correct.
very true, yes.
So notice I got the same fingers going on, doctor. The same principle as the beet, so I cut the tips off like that. Now I've got a flat surface to work with, all right? And now we're going to do radial cuts along the citrus. This can get tricky at times.
Very nice.
So
And I must say, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but you know, when we're talking about brain health, we're trying to protect the brain from strokes, but not only that, you want to try to slow down the aging process of the brain, right? We all want to make it to those elderly years as sharp-mindedly as possible. And I know you're cutting off the skin of the orange, but I need to remind everyone that for most fruits, you actually want to eat their skin, right?
Correct.
Apples, etc.
Correct.
Yes, because that's where most of their nutritious values comes from.
I'm not sure if you know this, but I had a stroke. I'm not sure this is a conversation that's all over the place, but I had a stroke about 3 years ago. And I have to say, at my age, you know, you tend to realize or think that it's going to happen to other people, not yourself. But my biggest takeaway from that is that, you know, I had the stroke, but I'm not going to let that stroke dictate who I am today. So what I want to do as an individual is make sure my body is prepared for the future. So by eating fruits and vegetables like this today, I think we're in a great position to take care of your body and protect future strokes from happening. But let me show you really quick. So I've got the orange.
Yes.
What I'm doing, if you notice, there's lines in the orange. So this is very tricky. Just be careful at home. So I'm taking the knife and going between all the membranes on a slight angle. And as I do that, the segment comes right out.
That's very nice. But
All
Kevin,
right.
I cannot miss this opportunity because you just told me you had a stroke.
Yes, yes.
So I need to make a big pause here because this is a great learning opportunity to let everyone know that you're a very young man. The
Thank you.
strokes can happen at any age, right? We can
Correct.
see strokes in the pediatric population, although most of us think that strokes are going to happen in the elderly population. But oh my gosh, I did not know.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a shock. That was a shock, to be honest.
More to how can we prevent strokes? And for sure, our nutrition is very important because we're talking about making a beets salad, and we know that beets for sure can lower your blood pressure.
Correct.
And we know that high blood pressure is the most common risk factor for stroke. I am so happy you're doing so well.
So am I.
And you are a great example of like probably changing your lifestyle,
Thank you.
changing the way you eat and the things that you
Yeah.
do to prevent any more injury to your brain.
Thank you for that. I think it's a combination of eating properly, but also getting outside and doing physical activity.
Yes.
So you have to take care of your mind and your body as well.
Yes.
So real quick, now we have the oranges and beets and stuff. I want to show you guys about a simple vinaigrette. You know, nowadays we go out there, we buy, there's a ton of vinaigrettes on the
Already
shelves.
in
And if you
containers, yes.
Correct. If you look at the back of it, there's a list of ingredients like what is this, what is this? I can't say these words anymore, all right? So that's not gonna be healthy for you, eating foods that you can't describe. So when you make a vinaigrette, there's two main ingredients to vinaigrette, oil and vinegar, your fat and your acid. And what I wanna tell you guys is that a basic ratio for any vinaigrette is going to be 3 to 1. So we have 1 part acid, that could be a vinegar, balsamic, red wine, sherry, it could be citrus, that's acid, orange juice, lemon juice, and 3 parts of a good fat. I prefer olive oil as my fat.
Yes.
So basically you don't need to have the bowls out and the blenders and the whips and dirty everything in your kitchen. Get a simple mason jar. Now, I like a little sweetener in my vinaigrette. What the honey also does is it brings the vinaigrette together. So it will be separating every couple of minutes. So I just take any kind of honey. Local honey is the best, to be honest. I put a little dab of honey
Okay.
in the mason jar. Now I'm doing sherry vinegar. Sherry is a great combination with citrus. You can do white wine vinegar, red wine vinegar. Balsamic is too strong for the salad. I'm not gonna do exact ratios on camera for you guys, but this is just the technique I want to show you. So you put some vinegar.
And the oil that we're using is
Olive oil.
olive oil.
Yes.
Yes, and that's very good because
Being Italian, I have so much olive oil in my house.
very nice. And we know that olive oil is probably going to be the best oil to use because it has the less trans fat.
Correct.
Right? We want to
Correct.
try to stay away when we're using oils. Try to stay away from those products that have high content of trans fat, which is usually your butter or your lard, or sometimes even coconut oil can have very high contents of
I've heard
trans
that.
fat. So we want to stay with those no trans fat products when we're making our salads or cooking your poultry, your chicken, your turkey, or your beef.
Correct.
Because that's what's going to keep you on a leaner side, less calories. But most important, remember that trans fat can translate into problems with your heart, your coronary arteries, and also the vessels in your brain that obviously leaves you at a higher risk of having heart attacks and strokes.
Totally great. Now here's a little
That
workout
looks
for the
good.
day. So just shake, shake, shake. That's all you do. Just shake it, shake it, shake it, and basically you emulsify everything together. Now this in the refrigerator will last about 2 weeks or so.
Oh, wow.
So you always have.
Will last
Now you
that
could
long.
also add herbs to this. If you have a garden full of fresh herbs, or if you're a huge fan of the basil, thyme, rosemary, oregano, whatever it is, just toss some herbs in here and give it a basic shake. All right. So that's your vinaigrette. Now you always have it in the refrigerator.
Very good. Now, can you add your spices like 2 days into it after it's been in the fridge?
Correct. The only thing is if you're adding a fresh herb, say like your basil, once the basil hits the acid from the vinegar in that, you might lose some of the greenness to it.
Okay.
So you can always toss it in at the end of the vinaigrette or into your salad like we might do today.
Got it.
All right?
Yes.
So we have all the ingredients.
Yes.
All right?
I can't really see over there. What else do you have over
Surprises.
there? Okay.
These are all
I'll wait for you to
surprises,
get them.
right?
Yes.
We got to stay 6 feet apart.
Yes, we do.
No peeking.
Yes.
All right, so what we're going to do next is take a basic plate. Any plate will do, or bowl will do too. And I've got some beets that we already cut.
Okay.
All right. Now, the secret to really cooking well is to season in steps. All right. Your food has to be seasoned all the time to make it taste proper. So we've got the roasted beets here. I take some nice
Very
sea
slow
salt.
with the salt, right?
Easy with the
Because
salt.
we know very easy with the salt because
Correct.
we know that too much salt increases your blood pressure. So
Exactly.
we want to stay away. We want to keep your salt intake at a minimum,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you have high blood pressure, right? Or if you have any problems with your kidneys or problems with your heart.
Correct. Correct.
And that's pepper.
That's pepper. That was sea salt, by the way. Some minerals that goes into that. Now, I like basil, Italian, right?
I love
So I'm going
basil,
to take some
too.
fresh basil, and I just tear the basil right into the beet salad itself. That, you know what, if you're not using salt, this is a great substitute for salt.
Okay.
Using fresh herbs and seasonings is a great alternative to using salt in food. I got some of the
This is a
vinaigrette
vinaigrette.
that I made ahead of time. So I'm not going to really douse it with the vinaigrette. Remember, you could always add more. You can't take it out. So I'm going to take a little spoon just to wet the beets itself, just like that.
But I feel like that salad needs something crunchy.
Bingo, you read my mind.
Yes.
So what we're doing next is I'm a big fan of grains. I
Yes.
love the ancient grains, the farros, the quinoa, the spelt and stuff. So, you want a texture to this. You just take some grains left over from dinner the night before or whatever it is and just toss them in.
Very
Optional.
Good. So I'm glad that you brought out the nuts because I think this is a perfect opportunity to talk about healthy snacks. On top of that, we also want to remind everyone that, we're all used to kind of like living very fast lives and we all
Yeah.
want to snack. Not all of us have a chance to just sit down for breakfast and then sit down again for lunch
Correct.
and maybe sit down for dinner. We need snacks along the day because we all live very fast living lives. So when we snack, I want to remind everyone that we want to snack on something like nuts, right? Almonds or cashews or peanuts because even those have fat in them, their content of fiber is very high. So remember, fiber, at least 5 servings a day between fibers with fruits, vegetables, and in your whole grains.
Fantastic. So while you were giving that great information out, I just assembled the beets on the plate. I mean, look at the colors now. That's like a pow. That's the
Yes.
rainbow right there.
That's the rainbow.
So we
yes.
got the red beets, the golden beets. We've got the ancient grains tossed in that with a drizzle of the vinaigrette, some orange segments. Like I said before, if you don't want oranges or if you're a fan of citrus, throw in grapefruit segments, lemons, limes, or whatever you want. Speaking of crunch,
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of the almond.
Almonds,
All right, so what I'm going to do is toss a couple of almonds
That looks delicious.
about the salad. Now you can keep these whole if you like, or you can just give them like a rough chop in a food processor or like in a mill. But it's going to be a great nutty flavor and a great texture to the salad. Not too many because they're high fat,
Yes.
but I think it's really good for brain health, correct?
Yes, for sure. And then what do you think about adding a lean meat to that?
Oh my gosh.
Because we know that we want to stay
Perfect.
away from saturated meats as well, right? We want to stay with our lean meats that usually are fish, chicken, and turkey. Those are the lean meats. So you think that salad will look good?
That would be fantastic with that, to be honest. And then some greens. I love greens, all right? So today we have some simple watercress and arugula. The sweetness of the watercress and the spiciness of the arugula is going to balance the salad fantastically.
Wow, so colorful, so beautiful. I can't wait to taste it. Oh my gosh, those beets are so sweet with a little bit of crunch from the almond and that manchego cheese. And it was so simple to make and so easy, and it's a perfect dish for those summer nights when you don't want to turn on the stove. So I hope you enjoyed it, and you can find the recipe at edibleorlando.com. Join us next time for Healthy Helpings.